going to take what we talked about in the previous videos and expand on that. And what we're going to do in this video is talk about what I call ascending line theory and descending line theory. Basically, I'm using the previous theories of dead spot theory, single note theory, and now I'm going to use those within this theory of ascending line and descending line theory to make sense out of a scale. And I teach this. I teach my young students and even my advanced students how to play scales this way. Anybody can play a scale, and really, scales a lot of people say are boring to play. But if we really think about it, when we're playing a piece of written music, whether it's an etude or a 10-page concerto, basically what we're playing is rearranged scales. So we need to understand how to play a scale properly. So what I'm going to do is right now I'm going to play the ascending line of a scale. I'm going to do nothing with it. Technically, hopefully it'll be pretty good. And then I'm going to play that same ascending line using the previous theories and making sense out of it. So right now here's an ascending line of a scale. And I'm just going to play the first 4 notes, and I'm going to stop. But I'm going to do nothing with these notes. Okay, so we have different pitches. We have 4 different pitches, which, because of the pitch itself being slightly different, makes it a little more interesting to listen to. But again, after I play those pitches and I keep extending those pitches and I play the whole scale, again, we get to a point where, you know what, we hear where it's going and we don't need to hear any more, and then it becomes boring. So again, now here's the full scale with doing nothing. Doing absolutely nothing, putting no life into that scale, and it doesn't make any sense. I can hear it's a scale. Technically, it might be okay, but again, it's going nowhere, it has no direction, it has no musical life. So if we use the previous theories, and let's add now the ascending line theory, which basically means that all ascending lines must move somewhere, okay? And we're going to apply, very simply, a crescendo, all right? There are some more advanced things that I talk about with my students, but for the most part, we're just going to use a crescendo on all ascending lines for right now. So when we do this, we have to be very careful, we have to be very picky. When we start a scale, the beginning of the first note has a starting dynamic line. If we're making sure that that note is not dead, by the end of that first note, whether it is a quarter note, a 16th note, or a 32nd note, it doesn't matter. The beginning of that note should be different than the end of the note, or the end of the note should be different than the beginning of the note, meaning it's moving and it has a crescendo within it. So I should be slightly louder. The next note within the scale, I'm moving up, so I should be crescendoing. The takeoff on the second note is right where I left off the first note, showing a true crescendo. That is a true crescendo. So I crescendoed through the first, I have an end point on that first, that's my takeoff for the next note, giving a crescendo. So here again are just the first 4 notes within the scale. And I'm going to be moving and giving direction with the first 4 notes in the notes themselves. Okay, so that is a crescendo, okay? A crescendo doesn't mean that you start off soft and by the time you get there, you're louder. You must crescendo within the notes and in between the notes as well. So here's the ascending line of a scale with a crescendo. And that is the ascending line theory. It must have movement, it must have direction. But you want to be picky as a musician to make sure that you're crescendoing through individual notes. The way you do that is you do it very slow. First 2 notes. That is a crescendo. Obviously, I had to crescendo more. I was doing it very slowly. I was trying to exaggerate it. But you need to make sure that when you study this kind of thing, record yourself. Can you hear the crescendo? Can you hear the movement? And those are the questions you want to ask yourself. Now, we've gotten to the top of the scale. And as students, um, we learn basically to crescendo up anyway. And we learn that right from grade school. So we learn to crescendo up. And we're also taught to decrescendo down. Decrescendo down, I think, is a very elementary way of teaching or making a musical line happen, or making sense out of a musical line. So what I teach is basically the opposite. I teach crescendo down. Now, to understand why that works, or why I think it works, we have to look at why do we crescendo up. It's not just because we're increasing volume, we're going higher within a scale or within a line. We're crescendoing up because we have a place to go. And that's the thing you need to understand. You know, when you're studying your music, you need to understand why are you crescendoing up? It's because you have a place to go. When I played this scale, this F scale, I have to show you the most important note within that scale, and that's the F. So I start on an F, and I want to finish on the F at the top of the scale, which is the most important note. So I need to show the direction, and I need to carry the audience to that note. Well, when we look at the descending line within that scale, it's the same thing. What's the most important note? It's the F. So to come back down, I need to crescendo down to the bottom to show you this is the most important note coming down now. So here's the scale, and here's how I approach the scale. Ascending line theory, crescendos up. Descending line theory, crescendos down. Now, to get to the crescendo going down, we have to do something at the top. So when I get to the top note within that scale, I'm going to decrescendo, and then I'm going to begin the descending line at the point where I left off on the decrescendo. So this way, it gives me a starting point to now crescendo downward. So listen to what I do at the top. Crescendo down. So I set myself up for the descending line. Now, playing a 2-octave scale or playing the scale faster, it doesn't change. So here is the same scale, faster now. Okay, so again, I'm getting to my high point at the top of the scale, showing you the most important note, backing off a little bit, and then crescendoing downward. And that is the ascending and descending line